Sean O'Malley vs. Marlon Chito Vera is official for UFC 299 in March. And although Chito isn't the most deserving of a title shot, as both Merab and Corey definitely deserve it more, Chito is far from undeserving of a title shot, as before the Corey Sandhagen fight, he should have been fighting for the title. He has a win over the current champion, Sean O'Malley, and then beat 3 ranked contenders in Frankie Edgar, Rob Font, and Dominic Cruz, before getting dominated by Corey Sandhagen, which is why Corey does deserve the title shot more. But he beat 4 top 10 ranked fighters and Sean O'Malley, who wasn't ranked at the time but is the current champion. And although Merab and Corey deserve it more, as a fight, I think this is a better fight than Sean versus either of those guys. Sean vs. Chito 2 is a fight I've been looking forward to for like 2 years now. They're 2 of the most entertaining bantamweights on the planet, and it's an extremely competitive fight. Chito is not going to be able to take Sean to the ground, and Sean's not even going to try and take Chito to the ground. So that's going to leave us with an extremely technical, high-level striking match on the feet where one mistake from either guy could end the fight, because both of these guys have so much power and can finish you with one punch. Sean O'Malley, as we know, is much more of a distance striker, much more of a sniper on the feet with a lot of power, probably the hardest hitting guy in the bantamweight division. But not only that, he's super accurate. The punch he caught Aljo with takes so much accuracy and so much skill to land. His jab is amazing, his cross is amazing, he can switch stances very well. Both guys can switch stances at a very high level. They're both equally as good in either stance. Sean is always going to be looking to line up that right hand off his jab, and then as Chito pressures him forward, circle away, use his movement, use his footwork, stay out of range because he is the longer fighter, he's taller, he has a longer reach, he fights more like a distance striker than Chito. Use the jab, use the front kicks, and circle away. Whereas Chito's going to look to constantly throw leg kicks. We saw in their first fight, the leg kick pretty much ended the fight, where Chito landed on the perennial nerve and Sean basically just lost all feeling in his leg, couldn't step back. When he went to step back, his leg just wasn't there. He fell to the ground and he got TKO'd. And although Sean has shown some improvements in his leg kicking defense against Pedro Munoz and against Peter Yan, the leg kicks are still there, and that's going to be a massive weapon for Chito in this fight, as Sean stands pretty heavy on his front foot. But at the same time, Sean can switch stances from orthodox to southpaw to avoid the outside leg kick. But then that does open up the head kicks for Chito, as we saw in the Dominic Cruz fight. Chito has very good head kicks, very powerful, and so much accuracy. And he can set up that head kick off the leg kicks. He can also set up his hands off the leg kicks, where he can use the leg kicks to gauge range, enter in, and then look for the left hook. Or if they're in opposite stances, he can line up his right hand or left hand, depending on which stance they're in. Sean does keep his hands pretty low, so that opens up the head. And Sean's defense pretty much is solely reliant on his movement and his reaction time. He doesn't keep his hands up, which works fine against lower tier strikers, but against a guy who's so fast and so technical like Chito can absolutely exploit that opening Sean leaves. And then Chito overall defensively is so much better than Sean. Chito has some of the best defense in the UFC right now. He has a very good guard. He's very good at parrying punches and blocking punches. He's hard to hit clean. He's hard to hit period, but he's really hard to hit clean. But if there's anyone that can hit him clean, it is Sean, because of how accurate he is. And if Sean does hit him clean once, this fight could be over. Sean is a counterpuncher through and through. He does his best work when he's off the back foot, countering your explosions forward or transitioning his offense into defense. But Chito is notoriously a slow starter. In the first few rounds, he doesn't throw a lot out there, and with Sean looking to constantly counter him, it could create a sort of boring fight where neither guy is really pushing the action. But on the flip side, if Chito figures Sean out, sort of downloads the data, picks up on his tells, that could create a very fun technical chess match on the feet. Now, if Chito can take this fight to the ground, he definitely has the advantage there. He has extremely high level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's very dangerous on the ground. He's very dangerous everywhere. He can knock you out on the feet. He can submit you on the ground. But can he get Sean to the ground? I don't think so. Sean has very good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well. Not as good as Chito, but Sean does have much improved takedown defense. He defended Aljo's takedowns perfectly, he defended some of Jan's takedowns, and Chito is not a very high-level wrestler. He's good on the ground once the fight gets there, but he has a hard time taking the fight to the ground. But at the same time, if he attempts takedowns, even though he might not be successful with them, he can use his takedowns to set up his strikes. He could start feigning takedowns and landing uppercuts, or he can use the takedowns to get around Sean's reach and box him up close. But Chito can't start slow in this fight. If he starts slow and Sean just gets out ahead of him, he's going to have a hard time catching up. Sean has an extremely good chin, so if he fights the way he fought Dominic Cruz, where he was okay starting slow and giving up the early rounds to sort of download the data so he could catch Dominic Cruz and knock him out like he did, he's going to have a hard time winning because Sean's such a hard guy to finish. Petr Yan could not finish him, and he hit him with his best shots. And the slow starts from Chito have cost him multiple fights in the past. It cost him the Corey Sandhagen fight. By the time he was just getting into that fight, it was the 5th round and he was already down on the scorecards. So he can't let Sean get out ahead early. Chito's key to victory is not necessarily starting fast, but having a little bit more urgency towards the beginning. He needs to kick at range. He can't explode in on O'Malley's terms. He's got to be smart with when he enters and exits range, because that's when Sean's going to catch him. Chito does have a great chin, is a very hard guy to finish. I don't think he's ever been knocked out in the UFC. But Sean is also the hardest puncher he has ever fought, and the most accurate striker he's ever fought. He needs to set up everything off the leg kicks. Chito has a very good jab, but in this fight, Sean is going to out-jab him. Sean has a better jab and is much longer. And those leg kicks are going to land because of how wide Sean stands and how much weight he puts on his front foot. And then off those leg kicks, he can work into range, set up his hands, land left hooks and uppercuts, or from distance, he can use the leg kicks to set up the head kick like he did against Dominic Cruz. Sean's key to victory is he has to continuously move, use his footwork like Dominic Cruz did. Chito definitely struggled with the footwork of Cruz, and O'Malley's just much faster on the feet at this point. And then as he uses his footwork to circle away and move, constantly throw the jabs, switch stances, give Chito different looks and angles he can attack on. And then when Chito eventually explodes forward, try and counter him. Now that's going to be hard because Chito is the most defensively sound striker Sean has ever faced. But if Sean stays patient and gets Chito sort of out of his shell and overly aggressive and making mistakes because Chito's not able to counterpunch him, Chito could explode forward a bit recklessly, and then Sean could catch him and knock him out. But in the end, who do I see winning this fight? I'm gonna have to lean with Sean ever so slightly. I don't trust the slow starts from Chito, and if Chito starts slow in this fight and gives up the first round or two and has to fight from behind, I don't like his chances of playing catch up. Sean is also a very hard guy to finish, but we don't exactly know where Sean's cardio is. He looked pretty good in his fight with Petr Yan. That's the longest any of his fights have ever gone, but he's never gone 5 rounds. Chito has gone 5 rounds multiple times, and he looks very good in 5-round fights. So I think as the fight wears on, Chito's going to have more success as he figures Sean out, finds openings. As Sean's gas tank potentially starts to drain. We don't know if it will. His cardio looked decent against Yan, but we don't know if he can go 5 rounds. But I just don't trust the slow starts from Chito. He has the defense to defend O'Malley's counter punches and his jabs from range, and if O'Malley can't set up his jab, he's going to have a hard time finding that right hand. He's also got the leg kicks from distance, which he can use to set up strikes, set up entries, or potentially just finish Sean with leg kicks, sort of like he did in their first fight. And as the fight wears on, I think he will have the advantage. It could potentially come down to that 3rd round, because I think Sean will easily win the first 2. But if Chito picks it up fast, I think he could win the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And I think the 4th and 5th he'll have a much easier time winning than the first few rounds. But in the end, right now, I'm going to lean with Sean, and I'm going to go by a decision. Chito is an extremely hard guy to finish, but if anyone could finish him, it would be Sean. And on the flip side, Sean is also an extremely hard guy to finish. And if anyone could finish him, it would be Chito, and Chito already has finished him once. But anyways, as the end of the video, if you did enjoy, please be sure to subscribe, comment anything you want down below, your opinions on this fight, who you think will win, your early prediction. Like the video if you did enjoy, follow my brand on Instagram, follow myself on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Stuck in a bad dream, Hollywood rich girl stuck in my backseat, and she wanna get at me, but the day's too short, can't let her distract me.